Jessica Carlqvist. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I would like
It's an
to
honor for me.
thank you so much. I would like to start with asking if you can introduce yourself for our audience. Tell us a little more about your work and your work related with the Kurds as well, very shortly, please.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I've been deeply committed to human rights issues since my teenage times. My engagement began with the struggle against apartheid and the movement for Nelson Mandela release, and has since included support for the Kurdish cause, the Palestinian question, Nagorno-Karabakh, and other areas affected by conflicts and injustice. I have spent nearly 25 years in politics, driven by a strong belief in justice and equality. Today, I serve as a General Secretary for a national NGO focused on human rights issues within Sweden, particularly around injustice and inequality. While my work today is more about nationally focused, my international commitment remains lifelong. Human rights, both local and global, are not just professional matters to me, they are deeply personal and enduring.
Thank you so much. Secondly, as you follow up, Kurdish leader Mr. Abdullah Ocalan has been visited by DEM party representatives, and also Mr. Öcalan's message on the 27th February was very clear and to the point. If the ground is prepared, I have enough power to bring conflict to the peaceful negotiations table, he said.
Yep.
How do you evaluate this message, first of all, and how important it is that still the Öcalan proves that he is on the peace side and he's seeking for peace? How would you like to comment on that?
Well, I don't see Öcalan's recent statement as merely a political message. I see it as a historical reminder that despite more than 2 decades in isolation, he remains one of the most visionary and influential political thinkers in our time. His message is both clear and courageous. If the necessary conditions are created, he's ready to help transform a long-standing armed conflict into a path towards negotiated peace. I think that Öcalan is not just a symbolic leader for the Kurdish people. He is our time's Mandela. His vision of democratic confederalism, his unwavering commitment to women's liberation, and his emphasis on ecological justice form a deeply democratic alternative to nationalism, patriarchy, and alternatives. These ideas have inspired movements far beyond the Kurdish context. His intellectual and moral legally deserves by the studies and respected, not silenced or locked away. The fact that he still reaches the peak is not a sign of weakness, but of a remarkable strength. To me, his message is not a demand, it's a declaration of readiness. He's saying clearly that if legal, political, and societal conditions are established, he has both the legitimacy and the influence to guide the transformation that armed struggle to meaningful negotiation. His words has strategic clarity and deep responsibility, that peace can only be achieved through mutual recognition, reform, and political dialogue, not through continued militarization. And its core, I understand Öcalan's measures as an offer. Its space is created for real dialogue. It can help to bring this conflict to the negotiation table. That is a powerful call, not to the Kurdish actors, but to the Turkish state and to the international community as well. It is time we listen, not with suspicion, but with political courage. That's what my thinking is about his statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very to the point analysis from you. Another important issue is about the Turkey's position, basically, because after the Öcalan's call, the PKK has announced its dissolution. They make this decision, and the arms struggle now has ended up. But now many people are saying that Turkey needs to take step forward in a positive way to build up the peace negotiations table. And one of the most important steps will be Öcalan's conditions, his workspace to be prepared so he can freely participate in the peace process. So what is your call to Turkey to take step forward, as well as let Öcalan to be able to work freely on the peace process?
Well, I can say that the recent visits to İmralı, including the extraordinary meeting between Öcalan and President Erdogan, mark that this is a historical opening, perhaps the most significant political gesture since the collapse of the peace process in 2015. After the years of total isolation, the visits suggest that even the Turkish state can no longer ignore his centrality. But it's critical that Öcalan is not left once again as the only adult in the room. Throughout the years, he has constantly spoken the language of dialogue, reconciliation, of peace, and while subjected to the most extreme condition of political isolation. Meanwhile, the Turkish state has too often responded with silence, denial, and escalation. This imbalance must end, and we are truly to speak of peace. It requires that the Turkish government not allow access, but publicly and politically recognize Öcalan's key role. And that step, more than any closed-door meeting, would mark a real shift. I remain deeply skeptical given Turkish and transit history of Turkification and denial, but perhaps, just perhaps, we are witnessing a beginning of a new phase.
Next one is about the European Union's position. Do you really think the EU is stands supporting the peace process? How do you see the EU and its constitution's position about the peace process in Turkey? Do you think the EU should support the both sides for building up this peace process?
I think that the European Union cannot claim to uphold human rights while remaining silent on one of the most severe and long-standing causes of political imprisonment in its neighborhood. If the EU truly believes in democracy, it must be recognized and support Abdullah Öcalan not only as a prisoner of conscience, but as a visionary thinker and indispensable actor for peace in the Middle East. I think also that the Öcalan philosophy aligns with European values, democracy from below, feminism, pluralism, and ecological sustainability. His model, already partially implemented in Rojava, offers a democratic alternative in a region otherwise dominated by dictatorship and conflicts. I think that the US must stop treating the Kurdish issue as a security concern and start seeing it as a democratical opportunity. Supporting Öcalan's role in a peace process is not only morally right, it's political very wise, I should say. Thank you.
Thank you. We already talked about the Turkey's position that they need to take positive step forward, but also different circles are still mentioning that the Turkey is still bombing the Kurdish areas in Kurdistan, and rather than sitting on the table with Kurdish leader Mr. Öcalan, the Turkey is still continuing the wars and imprisoning the Kurdish activists, as well as when we look at the situation in Kurds in diaspora in Europe, they are still under pressure. So what else needs to be done to change this, and what is your suggestion from now on to make the peace process more stronger to be continued?
I think if the PKK has taken the extraordinary step of declaration its willingness to dissolve in order to open a path for peace, the Turkish state now stands before historical responsibility. I think this is the moment to step forward, not merely with military control, but with political honesty. Yet I remain cautiously. I think that Turkey has a long legacy of assimilation policies and state denial of Kurdish existence, a system rooted in decades of Turkification. Trust will not be rebuilt in a day, so for any real process to begin, the state must do more than allow Öcalan to speak behind closed doors. It must be recognize his role as a legitimate and necessary actor for peace. That would be a true political departure, and it would be a step in generally taken not only as a tactic but as a recognition. Then perhaps this historical moment could become more than just another missed opportunity, and I think it's time that they release Mr. Öcalan and that the countries around in Europe and EU and everybody's taking part of that kind of discussions. They need to hurry in that kind of matters, I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else in this frame I didn't ask you like to add on, or if there is any message from you to Mr. Öcalan, that would be great. Also, as you know, there is a campaign continues, which is the I want to visit Öcalan campaign. So do you have any message for Kurdish leader Mr. Öcalan, and what is your support call to this campaign? This global campaign?
I can say that over the past years, I have the privilege to engage closely with the international Kurdish movement, and I now consider myself a part of it. I have been welcomed, not only as an outsider, but as a comrade, as a colleague, and as a fellow human rights advocate. What I have witnessed is a movement that is not only politically sharp and intellectual rich, but deeply humane. There's a humility and strength in the Kurdish movement that stands in strong contrast to the cynicism and brutality that so often dominate state politics. These are people, women and men from the mountains of Kurdistan to the diaspora in Europe, who carry on with democratic values, feminist theory, ecological thinking, and the fears will live freely. It is quite simply one of the most inspiring political forces of our time. This movement deserves not only our solidarity, but our deepest respect. And its leader, of course, Abdullah Ocalan, deserves to be recognized not as a prisoner, but as a revolutionary visionary. So I'm very proud to be part of this struggle, and I admire Mr. Öcalan's intellectual mind and all of his writings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Jessica. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for your valuable comments.
Thank you.